afternoon, pack leaders. This is Him with Friends Around You, protecting families by protecting the pack. And I have some exciting news to announce for you guys. I am nearly done, and I want to do this presentation to kind of give you an overview as part of the documentation, and then so you guys have an idea of what's going on and how to use it before I release it. But this is some of the stuff that you could probably take care of before I actually release it too. Okay, so let me switch over and present. Let me hit this up button right here. Alright, so here we go. Oh, that's not what I want. Let me back it up. Alright, summary. So I'm going to go with the purpose of the FOI 24/7 tuner, the features that it has, some of the buttons that are there, and how the whole system works. Okay. And so we noticed that when we tune a coin, it kind of gets expired and we have to retune it, and then sometimes we retune it, the back test looks perfect, and we forward test it, it totally bombs, and that's because the market changes. And so we need to be able to monitor that, so when we forward test it and it looks good, we need to switch it quickly to a live wallet and then start trading. Sometimes we come back to it and it's already like made 20%, and a lot of these positive gains, like 4 or 5 completed trades later, and I'm like, oh cool, let me put some money on it, and then it bombs, and you're like, dude, what happened? So you missed the wave basically. So what we're gonna do is have to constantly monitor this 24/7 while we're sleeping, so we're not sitting there on our computer babysitting the whole time. So that's what it's gonna do, is find nuggets of opportunities. Okay. Alright, so I want to show you, this is the FOI tuner overview. I'm just gonna maybe zoom out a little bit so I could kind of get a better view. I kind of did my best to do this label. So there's a couple more extra settings. It's called 24/7 Bot Army, and under there's this Bot Tuning Center. What you want to do is, once you go in here, you want to load the settings. It's gonna load up your simulated wallet, so you need to make sure you have a simulated wallet already set up. Okay, whether with Binance or Kraken or whatever it is, load it up. But load it up with like 909, like do this like 7 nines, like 9,999,9999 BTC. Same thing with USDT, 9,999,999 Ether, and if you're using Binance BNB, same thing with that. Load it up, okay, and just let it run. So that way your bots don't run out of money when it's trading. Okay. Once you add that, your simulated wallets, if you want to add Kraken and Binance, you can add those two here, and it'll pull up all the available base pairs. So if you have Binance, you'll see BNB in here. If Kraken has its own coin, I'm not sure, and you'll see the Kraken coin too. If they have the same thing, it'll just kind of, it'll delete the duplicates. Okay. And then based on that, you select the base pairs. So let's say you only want to use BTC on Binance and Kraken, you add that, and it will appear here. Then you want to load the available pairs, so it will pull up all the BTC coin pairs on Kraken and Binance. If there's duplicates, it'll just delete it off the list. Okay. So then, let's say you have EOS BTC on Binance, EOS BTC on Kraken, it'll just select as one. So you select all the coin pairs that you like to do. Okay. And then it'll show which live wallet that you want to use for your sim trade account. That is the live actual wallet, as in like that has your actual money in it. The reason for this is that once this loads up, it's gonna calculate the trade amount. Is that right? Select live wallet. Yeah, the trade amount. Yeah, it's gonna calculate the trade amount and actually put that trade amount into your Symbot, so that it's at 1%. So once it starts to clone, it'll already be kind of calculated at 1%, but it'll probably recalculate later. It's just to make the Symbots a little more realistic in terms of coin trade amount for now. But I think I might have overridden this. I'm not sure yet. I kind of thought about this, and I think I might have a bug here now. So I'll look into it later on and fix this part. And then the max days to hold the bag. So if the tuner is holding the bag for more than I would say for me, half a day to a quarter day, which is 6 hours to 12 hours. So you just put 0.25 for 6 hours, 0.5 for 12 hours, or you want to put a whole day, put 1 day here. So after 1 day it doesn't do anything, it'll then tune the bot. If it trades and then hold the bag for over 24 hours, it'll then, you know, retune it and, you know, clear the history and start all over again. Now this here is a start bot at 5 minutes interval. Now at one point we had talked about with Cosmo, and he said that it doesn't matter anymore, and I thought it did, because when we were doing our back test, it always ended on a 5 minute interval on our back test. Okay, so I was like, if it was 2 to a 5 minute interval, which means like, you know, it only trades at 4 o'clock, 4:05, 4:10, 4:15. What if we launch our bot as close as possible to the, you know, 4 o'clock, you know, like 5 minute intervals at, you know, 4:05, 4:10, 4:15, whatever it is throughout the day. So what it'll do, it'll wait until that time hits and then we'll start. So this will definitely slow down the tuning because it has to wait. And I'm not really doing any multi-threading right now, so you're gonna have to wait for it. But normally, to tune the whole pairs without waiting, it takes about 24 hours. So with waiting, I don't know, depending on how extensive this list is. If you have a shorter list, then you could probably hit this start bot as 5 minutes, see if that changes anything. This might be a good test to do, but that feature is there and available for you guys to use that. Okay. Now before you hit the start tuning, you need to make sure you save. And also before you hit save and all this other stuff, it sets up the template. So depending on Binance or whatever, you'll have a different bot fee that you might want to use here. And of course, this fee is used for all the bots. So even if this Kraken is, you put 1% for Binance, well, 0.1% for Binance, it'll be 0.1% for Kraken also. No way to really separate them, plus they're just tuning bots, so I don't know if that really matters. If it does, we'll think about this later. Okay. The local API, we need to also set that up so that I can grab coin market data from the exchange. So pricing, if it's EOS, you know, it'll say how much is it in BTC, and then I can calculate total amounts based on your live amount that you can actually buy, and then it'll kind of say, hey, 1% is equal to 10 EOS coins or something like that, based on your wallet size. Okay, so that is important, and this also sets up for the trading, the 24/7 trading. So it actually detects what your live wallet is and what you're able to afford and buy on a 1% to 100%. So even as you're trading effectively and making profits, and let's say your wallet increases, well, it'll continue to trade more and more coins as your wallet increases too. Okay, and then so you want to set up your templates here. I usually do reset middle on the center, and then save everything, and then once that's good, hit the start button, it'll create a template, and then start tuning the list of coins. Now here's a little secret behind the thing, is that if you do not select a base coin or a coin pair, and all you selected was maybe a wallet, and even if you don't even select the wallet, it'll actually tune all your wallets, all the base coins, and basically tunes everything if you just leave this all blank. Okay, which means I had over 230 bots, and I started hitting API rate limits, and then you're gonna have to go to bulk management and start deleting, because after a while the bots stop trading because it's pulling so much data, market data, that it can't even talk to Binance anymore, because it hit its limit. So when it has a signal to buy, it's like, oh, sorry, I can't really buy right now. The limit's been reached, so you can't do anything. So that really hinders you a lot. So that's why I kind of have to spend a little bit of time on limiting the amount of coins. So about 90 bots is kind of what I've heard, or about 90 bots is what you can actually create before you start hitting rate limits, and that includes live bots too. So that's something to look into. What you could probably do is, if you really wanted to, is you could probably create them all. I don't know if this is true or not, but you need to test it, where you can then stop a bunch of them, but just have them sitting there. But I don't know, you have to talk to Haas whether it still pulls data or not, but I kind of feel like it does. So even though all my bots were stopped, I think that's what happened, it still had rate limits that it was encountering. So yeah, you might just want to just delete the bots. And I vaguely remember, so I don't know. I don't remember what happened anymore. So, yeah. So that's it for this, and then I'll kind of show you a little demonstration on my computer. All right, so here. All right, so basically how it works is it kind of loops through all the wallets that you give it, the base coins that the wallets that you selected, the base coin that you selected, and the coin pairs that you selected. Okay. So then it goes and checks for duplicates of bots that were already created. If there is none, then it'll start a new bot. Okay. Um, if it already exists, then actually it checks to see if there's a duplicate template already created. So if not, it'll then start it or create a new template. And then it'll then look for bots that are already existing that you come out of tune previously. If this is new, it won't apply. But if it has tuned already and it looks again, it's like, hey, I found this bot already and I already made it. Well, let's check to see if it breaks any of the retuning rules. So it's gonna have to stop the bot in order to retune. Okay, so this is kind of the general sense. I think some of the logic's not really straightforward or correct, but basically it'll then check the rules, retune it, and say, hey, is the ROI negative overall? And it says yes, we'll retune it. Is the ROI per completed trade in the trade history decreasing in ROI? If it is, it'll retune it too. So even though we have positive ROI, but the ROI is decreasing, that means it's telling you that the market's changing, and you probably need to get out of this bot or retune it. If there's no trades in 5 days, so let's say it's just been sitting there with no trades, or whatever number that you had set previously in that little box here, right here, in this little max days here, it'll then check that. And then if it hasn't traded in that amount of days, it'll retune it. Or if it traded and it held the bag for so many days, it'll retune it too. And then in order to retune it, it has to stop the bot and then retune it, and then it'll start it back up. Okay. So this is pretty much hands off. You kind of just let this run on the VPS. I would recommend doing this on the VPS from now on, especially when it's 24/7 and uninterrupted. Just to constantly have it running with the best resource possible on your VPS. Okay. And that is it. And then so when you start to see forward testing bots that are doing well, you're gonna have to manually clone it and then switch it on to a live wallet with the test amount. If that confirms, you have to come back and check on it, of course, and babysit it again. If it confirms on that one trade and is good, then you should probably clone it again and put like 80% to 100% of your portfolio to trade a more effective amount. Okay. So it's very careful in getting in. I wouldn't test it right off the bat with 100, because forward testing is one thing, but live wallet it's another. It still changes still. Okay. But what I've noticed is that slower moving coins who don't change drastically isn't so bad. Alright, so then pre-setup, you're gonna have to make sure you set your local API, and I think there's some documentation on Haas on how to set that up. Just look at the wiki for local API, set it up, and put a different port number from your current trade server. Okay, I think I had 8090, but then my port number I put 8060 for the local API. So sorry, but the same IP address. Okay, and then and that would allow you to calculate the percentage of the portfolio based on BTC that's in your current wallet. Okay. All right. So I guess this might be a good time to go into some demonstration here. So I'm gonna minimize this. All right. So here's the tuner on the developer version. You want to load settings just like the way you normally load it up to make sure it's working. But I've kind of moved this to the side so that if you need to reload anything, like you go to menu and it's not loaded, you can then click the load settings and it's the same button. All right. All right. So these are starting here. This is not completed yet, but this is the disclaimer for the trading bot. Okay, it's just saying that, hey, we're going to trade with live wallet. I'm not responsible for it. If you lose money or whatever it is, take your own, double check your stuff and use at your own risk. Every time I put a new release out, it could break things, or Binance could do things, or Haas could do things that could break it, and it might not work as intended. And so you are gonna have to take that risk and not hold me liable for any changes. I'm gonna do my best to make it work as updated as it can be, but these risks do happen, and I'm not liable for it. So use it at your own risk. So once you click on that, then this oh, I guess this is not working anymore. I guess it's inverted. Well, let me fix this later. But once you check it, then it should show up. So this time I need to fix that. So anyways, there it is. So this is not working yet, but let's go over to the tuning center. So this is what I was showing here, where if it doesn't load properly, then you could just kind of hit this load sim wallet here. It'll load all your simulator wallets. And give it some time to load. Sometimes it doesn't load properly, and if that's the case, you might want to hit this button too, and sometimes it'll load. Okay. So it's already loaded some of the stuff that I had in the past, and some of the base coins I've selected. So guys, because I saved the settings, and a couple of coins that I've saved here. Okay. I noticed that this isn't loading, so let me see what's up. So alright, so I'm gonna have to fix this later. I think this button should be working, but there's something wrong with it. So it was working before. I don't know what's going on. So anyways, we'll just move on. This should be a live wallet instead of simulated wallet, so I need to fix that. That's what I realized doing that presentation. Your API for local, so I had 8090 normally for your trade server, but put 8060 without the slash preferably, but it'll filter it out if you actually have a slash / at the end, and then reset middle. Okay. Alright, so then once the bots are created, you're gonna have sometimes you have duplicate bots. Sometimes the bot will check to make sure it's cloned, but then sometimes when you clone so many times, it gets stuck and it doesn't see the bot, and it probably takes like a whole minute for the clone to actually happen, because I don't know, maybe the trade server is busy or whatever. So it'll duplicate it and create another one if it's timed out. So if that happens, you then have an option to delete all duplicate bots. You can start bots and filter them by, hey, I want to stop all the sim bots, or I want to stop all the BTC bots. So if you switch pairs, let's say you were doing BTC pairs, and then you're like, you know what, BTC is going down, I want to switch over to ETH. Then you can stop all of that, execute the command, it'll start to go through everything, and then switch to ETH and start those bots up, and execute that command, and it'll start up all the bots. Okay, this is all custom bots here. So like bots that weren't created by the tuner. So like if you had your own custom name, it'll be able to detect any custom name bots. So let's say you have some right now, you want to just completely wipe your stuff clean and just use the tuner bots. You can then do that to kind of delete the bots, and then you just click on that. It'll delete all the user created bots, and you only have FOI tuner naming conventions. Okay. I think that's it. So then you can actually view the simbots. I had a table here where you actually select individual ones, but I had removed it because the tables wasn't working at one point, and then afterwards it was working later on when the developer got back to me. So now I could probably put it back after this presentation. Okay. And then work on it in a little bit. So I'm trying to maybe just send it out as is for now, so that you can get started on it, and then I can work on this later and push out an update when it's ready. So that way you guys aren't just waiting in anticipation. Okay. One biggest feature was the partially filled tracking bot. So once you run this one, you're gonna have to, in a sense, the files are released in a zip folder, right? So what you want to do is make a copy of that zip folder and have two separate folders unzipped, right? One is running the FOI tuner, and then another one on a separate one running a complete trade monitoring, because this, all it does, once you hit this, it just runs a loop over and over and over and over again, monitoring for that buy and sell template notification. Once it monitors it, it'll then find it, it'll pull the data out and say, hey, it detects that it's been partially filled. And if it's a buy to a buy order and switch to sold, it'll then adjust the trade amount to what you bought. Okay, so it doesn't get stuck and you can't sell. If it's sold, if it's in a bought position and it was trying to sell, then it will monitor it. You bought and sold. No, you bought and you're selling. Yeah, so it partially filled, and you have some coins left that you can sell all the way. Well, it'll then, you know, adjust the amount to what you have left to sell, and then switch the coin position back to bought so that it can sell again and sell the rest. Okay. So that's where that is. Okay, and then you want to stop it, just hit that button, it'll stop the whole thing, and you should be good to go. Alright, and I think that's pretty much it for these two. Now, when we start to do the trade one, you're gonna have to do it again. You're gonna have to create a third copy and then run a third one on a third browser. So these are all gonna run in separate browsers. The 27 bot army tuner will run on one browser. Partially filled run on a second browser on its own, so monitoring that browser, so they don't coincide with, you know, messing with each other, and it's all kind of independent. And then a bot army trading one will run on a third browser, a third instance, I guess. Will then monitor all the live bots, and once it monitors live bots, it'll then be able to switch from the live wallets that you selected. So if you have multiple live wallet portfolios or other people that you're managing accounts for, it'll then cycle through that list, and if it sees it, it'll create a test for all three of those wallets, or two wallets, whatever it is that you selected. Test it, monitor it again. As soon as the first trade comes through and is positive, it'll then increase to 80% your portfolio, and the test is 1%, and then go from there. The reason why I have this live test is because when we do leverage trading, and if you mess up, you actually can lose just 1%, alright? But you can lose that 100 times before, but you do make some gains, you can gain a lot, right? So we never have to use the confirm live if we do leverage trading later on, but that's for later, okay? I know Mad Hatter Tutor does not do leverage right now, but I could probably adapt this to the trade bots and, you know, set up our own Mad Hatter type of trade bot, and even maybe more better, or who knows what, and then tune those settings that way too. But that's for later, another project. That'll be we'll see how that goes. If this works out well, then I'll do leverage. If not, then we won't go leverage because you lose more. Alright, so this is what I would recommend for this settings is once you test for it and it confirms positive, then throw 80% of your portfolio at it, trade it, and then max its whole position. So this is a separate one from the tuner. Let's say you can make it equal to, if it held it back for more than a day, then just do a market sell. So it'll market sell you automatically if it exceeds, it breaks the same rules for the tuning rules. If the actually no. Yeah, if the I have to double check this. I'll do another presentation on this, but it should be the same. If the profits are decreasing, it'll then not re-enter the thing and delete the bot. If you're in a trade and it held position for over a day or hasn't traded for over a day, it'll then delete the bot and move on. Okay. Alright, so this is lowest allowable ROI. So let's say your first trade, right? Usually when you first trade, you lose money because you have to pay the fee. Alright, so you start with the negative ROI on a buy. But let's say it comes back and it's like maybe a small loss, but maybe you still want to stay in the game, okay? For the second one, usually it might be conflicting, but I think that maybe if the first loss was too much, then it'll just get you out. If the first loss was too much, it'll get you out. So let's say you do a 1% test and it's like, whoa, 10% loss. Well, yeah, it's gonna delete the bot. But let's say you did your first purchase and it's only like negative 0.101% because of the fee, then it will keep you in there until somehow it broke even or whatever, and it kind of just hung in there. But it didn't accumulate a negative loss high enough to about 5%, then it'll just kind of stay in there. So this is kind of like a little buffer for that trade amount of negative 0.1%. You could probably put 1% here, it might be reasonable, something like that. So if it trades and it's like, hey, you know what, it came back and the first loss that comes in, it probably won't go to the confirmation, but it won't keep the bot either. Okay, it'll just keep going. And also let's say it trades, right, it makes a positive gain and you confirm it, but then all of a sudden it starts to trade, it declines. That's fine. But let's say it's just a huge drop that was just so big that it was going great, positive, and then boom, dropped, and it was a huge negative that exceeded this. It'll then delete and get you out too. Okay, so that's kind of the reason for this part. All right, which isn't working yet. All right, so bot tuning management. So yeah, you'll be load. It's not working yet, but load your coin pairs that you selected right here. So everything that's in this list. Let's say if you wanted just to remove TRX, well, you can't, right? You have to clear the list and add it back again. Well, this lets you just to be able to delete 1 or 2 or 3 and then save it back in and then retune. So that way you can just pick 1 or 2 things out. Once you have a big list loaded, you can load the coin pair, check mark it, delete it, and then adjust the list basically by just deleting 1 or 2 bots that you don't want. You can search it, and that's pretty much it. Okay. And then every time you do that, make sure you save, and life is good. Alright, cool. So, I'm working on that. Okay, see you later. And then, let me get back to my presentation here. Alright, so make sure you get that set up. And upcoming features. So, I think we had talked about that. That's already done. Just make sure you run the second copy of that activated. Let it monitor, buy and sell. 24 trading. I will be working on that soon. For you guys have, it's gonna be on a licensed server, so you're gonna need a serial number. I'm gonna have my assistant help you with that. People who already have active paid memberships will be able to get the license, and we're gonna set a timer on it. Okay. Once and for some of you guys, I've noticed in my account there's people who have expired credit cards and it's trying to hit your card, but it's coming back declined. Make sure you take care of that. We will be checking that before you get a serial number, and if you haven't, we'll also have a link for you to purchase and renew your membership automatically. Okay, so then it will be kind of brought over to the license server with the software instead of through my other funnel. Alright, so once this is done, I'm gonna be closing the doors for the tuner. Okay, and I'm just gonna support what we have, just make sure you guys are good. Any bug reports or whatever, I'll and support on installations and whatever. I'll support you guys, and then after that, 7 days before of every month, I'll do a release again at the last week of the month. But it'll be a higher price, and I'm kind of thinking maybe $1,000 for the yearly for my starting release. We'll see. I don't know what kind of value yet. If it works, I think it'll justify that, depending on what it can bring in terms, because it'll be pretty much like a kind of like paying rent on a commercial retail store, right? Like it's like $1,000 to rent a retail store, and then you kind of do business. So it's kind of like that, all right? And then to preserve and protect the current members from oversaturation of the strategy, I'm going to have to increase my price every single time I relaunch. And so every month, if I start to see that the strategy is getting some stress, then I will probably stop launching or either release less amount of licenses, but at a higher price. So it'll just be more scarce and more limited and with higher pricing over time. Depending on how well it does and how much of a stress I feel the bot is performing. Because I think if too many people who have it and are implementing the strategy, then I think the strategy won't work anymore. Then I have to probably create another bot to overcome this one, and so on and so forth, right? So if everyone has the edge, then no one has the edge, kind of thing. So it only makes sense, right? All right, so that's all I have. And let me know what you guys think. I am going to be continually working on this for the rest of this week and be able to get this out to you guys soon. I still don't have a date for you guys, but I think I had said May 15, and I pushed out to the end of the month to get the tuner trader out too, but I want to get this out as soon as possible. So as soon as I'm done, it'll be soon. I just want to give you this is kind of part of the training I'm doing. Since my remote desktop is down, I can't work on it right now. So until that is done, then I'm gonna be doing some more training material to catch up ahead of time. So thank you, and we'll get it to you soon.